I'm Renee Knight with Inside Unmanned Systems. I'm here at the AUVSI Xponential event in Denver with Robert Briggs, the Chief Engineer for the Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership at Virginia Tech. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
We appreciate you taking the time out of this busy week. So yeah, I guess to kind of start off the conversation, can you talk a bit about the test site and the work you guys have been doing there?
Yeah, of course. So we're an FAA designated UAS test site located at Virginia Tech called the Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership. So really what we do is we kind of sit between industry and the regulators and try to help both sides. So we work both with regulators like the FAA, also government groups like NASA, but then we also work with companies, examples like Google Wing or Dominion Energy, and we do research for basically anything that you need to do to safely integrate drones into national airspace. So things like detect and avoid, uncrewed traffic management, communications and control, anything that you need to do research on to make sure that you can do this safely is kind of where we exist. And we help companies get safety cases, help regulators make rules, and just try to push the industry forward.
Very important work.
Yeah.
Very important work. So I guess can you talk a bit about some of your recent testing with the UTM?
Yeah, so we've been doing UTM testing, which is UAS traffic management. So the real simplified version is just air traffic control for drones.
Sure.
But that there's a lot to it. But we've been doing UTM research for many years now. We were involved in 3 of the 4 NASA tests, and we've been involved in all 3 of the FAA tests for UTM. And we're just wrapping up now the UTM field trials, which is the latest test with the FAA. It's important work because UTM is kind of needed as a key enabler for both advanced drone operations like beyond visual line of sight, but also advanced air mobility, AAM. So the research brought together a bunch of different entities to do a big field trial of UTM and see what works and what doesn't, and how do we push that forward. So pretty fun project.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So I guess can you talk a bit about some of the challenges that the industry faces, and then how you're kind of the help move that forward?
Yeah. So UAS technology and drone technology has come a long way. It's come a very long way from when I started this. So we've got great aircraft. We got awesome payloads. We got great operators. But there's a lot of key enabling technologies that are needed to kind of safely move beyond what we do now. So Part 107 is great. It allows visual line of sight, simple operations like your real estate inspection, but what's really needed is that beyond visual line of sight, right? We need to get to the more advanced operations like package delivery and infrastructure inspection. And to do that, we need to address a few key concerns. A large one is how do you safely operate around other aircraft, specifically traditional aircraft with people on board. So detect and avoid is huge in that space, using whether it's cooperative kind of transponders or radars or vision systems. Those are just key enablers to allowing these advanced operations. So we do a lot of research in that space. We will characterize DAA sensors and figure out the performance. Like I said, we do a lot of UTM testing, which is kind of the backbone of all of this, right? Like that's how you handle your avoiding other uncrewed aircraft, but also you can tie in DAA into that system, and it can be a holistic kind of airspace picture to make sure. So I feel like the biggest challenge is overcoming those kind of key enabling technologies. I think the aircraft are good; they're ready to go. The missions are there. It's just putting all the puzzle pieces together to be safe about it.
Very true. Very true. So I guess what testing you have coming up? What's next for the site?
Too much testing coming up. There's always work to do. There's always work to do. Yeah, like I said, we're wrapping up some UTM testing. We're continuing to work with a lot of groups to do DAA testing. We are getting more and more into the AM space. So all of these things like detect and avoid and UTM that I mentioned apply equally to advanced air mobility, right?
Sure.
It's a bigger aircraft, but all of them are still the same problems that you're trying to address. So more and more we're working in that space in the AAM what do instrument approaches look like in the vertiports, all those kinds of aspects of like, it's new. It's a new way to approach aviation, but we still have a very effective traditional aviation system. So how do we marry these two things together and do a seamless, safe integration? So lots of work to be done, but lots of good progress.
Yeah, very cool. So can you talk a bit more about why this work is so significant to get to these technologies and to get to where we need to be? Why is this testing and the work you're doing so significant to that?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know who coined the term trust but verify, but I think it's very true here, right? We're talking safety here, right? So we need to be sure that these technologies and these systems do what we think they will,
sure.
Right? And I'm not even talking about like dishonest things here. It's just like when you take this technology that you've developed and you put it into the real world, weird things happen, right? Like we need to understand how things actually work, and research is key there, right? Like we need to do the research. So, we try to put quantitative numbers, behind all of these things. So when we look at a radar, for example, we actually run, hundreds of thousands and millions of simulations to understand this is exactly how this will perform. It's all about risk mitigation and reducing the risk, and I think research is a key part to doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to learn more about what you guys are doing, or where do they go? Where can they visit you during the show this week?
Yeah. So we're at the show this week. So we're booth 4216, I think it is. It's the big Virginia booth. So so there's a huge Virginia sign over top of it. So we're there. So welcome to stop by there. But you can also check us out if you Google Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership. I'm sure you'll find us.
Fun kinds of info.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Again, appreciate you taking the time and for all the work that you're doing to move the industry forward. Really appreciate it.
Of course, so thank you.
Thanks. For more information from the show, visit InsideUnmannedSystems.com.